Hey, so my name's Sam. I'm the artist for 10 More Minutes, or formerly known as Sam. You guys can decide. Uh, are you guys hearing the music, or is that not picking up too? I might have to change it. Apparently all my defaults changed, or apparently it's not accepting defaults. Uh, there's no music? Okay, so let's try and figure that out. God, everything was perfect before. I'm gonna blame Streamlabs because I touched nothing since the last time that I streamed. I mean, sure, I did reboot my whole computer, but who knows why that's a thing. Do you guys hear anything now? Like, what the hootenanny? Why is it all not cool? Still no music. Why would Twitch do this to me? Why? I'm gonna keep on messing with things. Okay, maybe it's this button. Audio output. You would think that eventually it would do like the thing that you want it to. Properties. Yeah, I think there was a Streamlabs update because even though it should just use all the normal stuff. Oh, thank you, literally, Totari. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Oh, so while I'm trying to get the background music to work, Blue Lip asked me to stop being lazy and do art streams again because I haven't done one in about, a couple months. So it's been a while. Oh, that sucked, Retro. Hopefully you can get it to work, man. Hopefully I can get my end to work too. So there's still no background music, right? Why would it not be playing? That's super weird. Why is it doing this? Why, Twitch? Why? NVIDIA sound, maybe? How freaking bizarre. Well, if we can't figure it out, we'll just continue with it. Nah, the music's playing on my end. That is weird. I wonder why it changed all of a sudden. That doesn't make sense to me. Maybe Twitch had some kind of update that changed what gets used. I mean, yeah, if you guys want to improv sing, you totally can. I'm down for that. I don't know why it's not doing this, because could have been my headphones. I plugged them in. They're like, nah, bro, that ain't cool. You can't use us. Calling Audio Man Chris. It's on a different computer. So for those of you who don't know, we do the art streams on my computer, and I use a little snowball mic to do my stuff, instead of what our normal setup is, which is in the other room. Blah, 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 blah. Why? Okay, well, it's probably my audio end. I don't have any music, so if you guys want to chill out to some music while you're listening to this, go ahead. I don't know how to... I honestly don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's not working. Usually I'm the, tech person that helps figure out problems. So, yeah. That's super weird. I don't know why it's not doing that. I can try one more thing. Audio drivers, maybe? Alright, well, we can't figure out why the music's not working. We'll try and do other stuff and make it work towards like the end. I don't know why it's not doing that. Create an output projector? No, it should just... I'm betting it's the audio drivers on my end. I should have done a soft reboot on my computer, but I didn't. So, what if I unplug my headphones? Whatever. We're just gonna get started. Okay, so I've been busy with stuff. I guess I'll just show you guys what I've been working on. I haven't really been goofing around, but I've just been, working on a lot of portfolio stuff. Some of you guys have seen this the other day. So if you can hear me, that's all there is. I don't have any music playing right now because for some reason the music's all glitched up. I don't understand why it's not playing. So feel free to listen to any music you want in the background, and then I'll troubleshoot this later to see why it's not popping in. So if you can hear me, that's all you need to hear. Everything else, there's nothing really else, unfortunately. I could try like streaming something off YouTube, but I don't know if that'll work. So this is a personal project of mine that I've been working on. Most of this stuff has been done for a while, but it's called Hijinks. It's kind of like it's a portfolio built for the idea of getting more into the animation industry again, because I've done a lot of freelance illustration, but I've kind of been out of animation for a long time, and I'd like to get back in. Yeah, watch the recording just be drowned in music, guaranteed. I'll make sure that's really low. This isn't going to be the last stream. It's going to be much simpler. But the thing that we're going to be working on, or I'm going to be working on along with you guys, is I'm going to be working on a thing called turnarounds. So turnarounds are basically just a character showing them in all their rotation in 360 degrees, so that way when the animator sees it, they know exactly what it looks like from different positions, so that way the animation can be on model. So the character designer's job is to make sure that they draw the model as precisely as possible from all the different angles. Now this can change, you can draw in different ways, but the idea is you want everything to kind of line up, like the bottom of the nose, top of the eyes, all that kind of stuff. So then when you put it all together, you get something like this, where it just turns around seamlessly. Now there might be some errors here and there, and there's some designs like Mickey Mouse where his ears always stay in the same place type of deal, but for the most part, most things should kind of align. But I've been working a lot on this project, making characters over the last couple months. So as I've been working on that stuff, I've been also working on a lot of prop designs for the last week or so, something like that, for a bunch of these different characters that are all just characters that I've created either over the years or recently. If anyone's seen the Fish Thief illustration, these guys, I just decided to put them in the world of characters. Velas is a character I drew way back in for a Halloween one year. I've always loved Nightmare Before Christmas and loved the idea of a pumpkin king or a pumpkin character. And I've always loved suits and just ties. So I'm a big Ocean's 11 fan. So it's like, what if I draw a pumpkin dude in a suit? That would be cool. So that's kind of how Velas came about, and you have just different characters like Kabu and Kozo. Kozo being the business manager for Gob and Yenzin, and Bluebeard and Fitcher. It's Bluebeard. That's a whole thing based on one of the students that came up with it, long time ago. So I've been working on different prop designs because that's been one of the weaknesses in my portfolio. So I was working on doing turnarounds for my prop design, doing color layouts, having complex models, and kind of crazy sex. Thanks, Kaiser. Yeah, Velas is one of my favorite characters that I've made. Every year for Inktober, he's always the last character that I drew, but he didn't have a name until about a year ago, when I started doing the designs for him. The two little ghosts in him have just been characters that I've drawn for about 4 or 5 years now. And yeah, I would do the man or Blue Lip, just tell him maybe he wants to reboot his stream. Try that. We're gonna be here for a while, at least probably about 2 hours. And then I've been working on different prop designs. For Medusa, I did her little incense thing, showing little keyframes for animation. Ooh, wow, thank you. Wow, thank you, literally. That's awesome. Thanks for giving those tier 1 subs to GamerKid770 and Rubber Ducky. Or I'm sorry, Rubber Duck. Inktober's fun. It can be a little intimidating. Yeah, it's really hard to stay on top of it, but I love the appeal of the challenge of it. Always trying to get out 1 ink drawing per day. It's working now? That's awesome, dude, the man. So yeah. Oh, thanks for the cheer, Blue. Working on some just different prop designs because I didn't really have that in my portfolio. So a lot of just basics, here's the top of the tray, here's the bottom of the tray, because a lot of what character design and prop design ends up being is designing things like cups and cupboards and all that other kind of stuff. It's a lot more basic and a lot less flashy, but this stuff was actually super fun to do. I really enjoyed kind of figuring out how to make a cup turn and do all these different things. So what I'm currently talking about is just different designs that I've done. This is a personal project of mine that I created about 2 years ago. It's called Hijinks. So it's just a random project that I came up with that I've call me Dude Sam. Okay, I'll call you Dude. Dude Sam. But yeah, this is just a personal project of mine. Some of you guys saw I was working on a turnaround for this, which is just the bulldozer and making this kind of a possibility. This one was tough. This one took a lot of effort to make sure everything matched up, and I'm pretty proud of it. It turned out really good in terms of a turnaround. That's awesome. That's awesome. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Literally, Toturi. I hope I got that right. Pronunciation and phonetics are my worst thing. I always, when I have students, I would tell them, "Hey, I'm gonna get your name wrong. I'm really, really sorry. Keep correcting me. Keep telling me that I'm doing it wrong because I want to get it right. I don't want to say your name wrong, but I'm an idiot, and I will until people tell me, until you tell me at least a couple times." But yeah, all this kind of just started out. I've always really liked fantasy. I've always liked monsters growing up. I always like Where the Wild Things Are and all these like weird, goofy monster books. So I kind of just made a little property based on that with different characters. And you know, I wrote a whole backstory. I did a whole series of Inktober just on these guys, and I've taken some of those and I've turned them into full illustrations. So you know, it's been a lot of fun exploring this concept, but I need something in my portfolio that's more action oriented, and I figured using the designs from that I created for our Dungeons and Dragons thing, way back when, like however long the campaign's been going, like 3 years now or something like that. I created designs for everyone, done a couple illustrations. I may as well do some breakdowns of just like that, especially now that I've kind of got this to the point that I like it. In terms of a package portfolio thing, I feel like this is as complete as it can be. How long did it take me to do this good and find my style? So the one thing that I always tell my students is the same thing that my teachers told me. So I graduated high school and I was not good. Let me find, I'm going to pull this over to the other screen because it has all my other stuff on there that you guys don't need to see, like passwords. So let me find an image to show you how bad I was, or like what my level was in high school. God, what was it? It's on my like DeviantArt. But I graduated high school and I really wasn't that good. I always loved to draw, and I've loved to draw since I was a kid. I was really good at copying stuff. I would draw Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. I would draw all that kind of stuff all the time. But I was kind of split. I was in band and like almost all the time. I was playing a jazz ensemble, wind ensembles, all this stuff. But I always loved to draw. And ever since I've been 3 years old, my mom will always tell me, "You always told me you wanted to be an animator." As long as I can remember, I always wanted to be an artist. I didn't really know what I wanted to be as an artist, which is probably why I bounce around so much. I loved Garfield as a kid. I loved Ninja Turtles as a kid. I kind of love all these different genres. But I really didn't start taking it seriously until I entered college. The only school that I got into was the Academy of Art. Now, I could have gotten into a state school like San Jose State or something else around that, but I really wanted to go to art school because I knew that that's what I wanted to focus on. I was always getting caught in band class and other classes drawing, and I was an A and B student, so I wasn't like ditching my responsibilities, but you know, I was drawing all the time. Any chance I could get, I would draw. So let me pull this up. So this is a sketch. I think I made this, it wasn't for Chris, but I think it was for, God, who was it? I think it was one of our friends who's in the Dungeons and Dragons campaign. So this one on the left-hand side is, God, what was that? 2003. I think this was either my freshman year of high school or my sophomore year of high school. And honestly, it didn't get much better from there. And this is 2015, so this was already 5 years ago, but that was about 4 years after graduating. I got in my first class as a freshman in college. I went to the Academy of Art University in San Francisco, had really great instructors, but the first thing they told me is, your skill level is really low. You're going to need to raise it up really high if you want to be a professional. And while some people may take that as a negative, I turned that into a positive and went, he's right. I really need to work hard. So for about 5 years, I drew all the time. I commuted to school from the Bay Area. I would go on BART. It would take like an hour to get there, and then I'd have to walk to class. I would sleep in the morning. I would wake up when I got there. I'd go to my drawing classes. I'd spend 8 hours there, and I would draw, and then I'd draw on the BART ride home, drawing people on the train as practice. And then I'd go home and I'd do illustrations. And I was just pumping them out. I was constantly doing stuff. I would literally just do art pretty much past my freshman year. I would just do art, and that was it until winter break or summer, until winter break would happen. And then I would take like a month off in between semesters, and I would just play video games. Wouldn't even draw. I wouldn't really even do anything. And that was kind of it. That was my life for about 5 years. I was lucky that my parents were super supportive, and I tried having a job for a while, but it was just too hard. And they're like, hey, just focus on school. Just focus on doing your craft and really try and get as good as you can, which eventually landed me a job at GoSpot, and then led to me teaching and doing all these other crazy stuff. So yeah, getting it good at drawing it's a skill. People like to think that it's a talent. The way that I perceive drawing and talent is, talent doesn't mean you haven't put in the hard work. You definitely have. You can't get good at drawing without putting in the time. There's just no way around it. If you want to get better, you have to draw. Minus prodigies who are, 5 or 6 years old and painting like Rembrandt. Those people are anomalies. But for the 99% of people, 99.9%, you just have to work your butt off, and you just got to observe life, and you got to draw, and it has to become a lifestyle. I'm drawing all the time. Chris jokes to our friends, but literally all I do is draw. All I want to do is get better. It's not to have this grand ambition of being the best in the world. It's like, I just want to get better. I just want to be better so I can be better. There's really nothing else other than that. And this is kind of one of the examples I'll show some of my students, like, hey, if you want to get good, you just got to keep practicing. And just realize that you can't compare yourself to other artists. And it's really hard with how Twitter is now, and you see everyone who is just mind-blowingly amazing, and they're just over-the-top craziness. When's the next time Mike will be streaming? I have no idea when Mike will be streaming. Mike never streams, unfortunately, because it's just hard for him with our schedule. It'd be cool for Mike to stream, but it's really hard for us to sync up all of our timelines. But with everything that's going on, maybe, well, we're going to try and record some more 3-player games, for sure. But yeah, it's really hard not to get depressed. Something that I do is I'll always look back at stuff like this and just see how far I've come and how much I've accomplished in just a small amount of time. A couple of years ago, I couldn't really draw backgrounds, and I decided, hey, I want to be better at drawing backgrounds. Now I can draw backgrounds. If you would ask me, let me go to my portfolio, and let me go to this. If someone had said, hey, you're going to be able to draw something like this, I would have been like, you're shitting me. There's no way. There's no way. I can't draw backgrounds for shit. But this is one of the beginning things where I had spent about a year and a half before this to draw these characters and draw these backgrounds, and that was kind of the start of it, of really getting into it. And these are the characters I'm going to be turning into character designs for the stuff. Oh man, it's no problem. Being a comparison to Mike is awesome. Mike's a good dude. He's one of the best dudes I know. But I look at this stuff and go, wow, I can't believe I can do this now. It's insane. So I always look at how far I've come. I keep my old sketchbooks to remind me that it's about my personal journey. It's not about how much better other people are than me. And it also helps, when artists that I admire occasionally follow me on Twitter and go like, oh God, they're following me? They think my art's good enough to watch? Shit. So even though I haven't got everything made out, and I still struggle with everything, it's it's all part of the journey. You keep on striving to be better, and I'm always looking for, like, how can I keep pushing that envelope? How can I get better at all that stuff? I think the best way to think about it, dude, the man, is you want to do studies. So if you know that there's an area that you're weak at, you just want to focus on that. When I knew I wasn't drawing enough animals and wasn't very good at it, I started drawing animals more often. When I was bad at backgrounds, I started working on backgrounds. It sucks and it's really hard, and they turn out like garbage for a long time, but literally the more work you put into it, the easier it gets. But there's really there's no shortcut. You just got to put in the time. But I would suggest an hour a day of just drawing something that you're not good at, like maybe alternate weeks. Like when I was in college, I drew, I think it was like 500 hands a week or something like that, something stupidly insane. Or maybe it was 100. It was anywhere from 100 to like 500 or like something dumb. But I finished like hundreds of sketchbooks throughout college. It's honestly about repetition. My peers are much more are much better than I am in a lot of ways. I just kept bashing my head until I kind of got better at it. But when I see another artist that's better than me, the way that I perceive the word talent, which I got on a tangent a little bit, is for me, when an artist is talented, it's more so that they have an innate ability to understand and develop their skill, sometimes quicker than other artists, but they still got to put in the work. They still work so hard to kind of get where they need to be. There's not a single artist that has made it that hasn't put in the time. There's just no way. There's just some of us that understand and know how to attack it way quicker. But that's kind of about it. It's a pet peeve among artists to use the word talent, and we know that it comes from a good place from people, but a lot of times it can feel undermining because they don't see all the work and all the time you put in to getting to the level that you need to be. And it's hard because you'll see other artists on Twitter and you'll go, how am I ever going to get to that level? How am I ever going to be that good? Well, the best way to do it is kind of just keep on looking at your stuff and keep on going, all right, I could only draw, let's go back. This is my DeviantArt page, which I haven't looked at this, and I don't post here very often anymore just because it's easier to post on Twitter and stuff of that nature. But let's go as far back as, let's see, like most of my stuff, like even back up to, when is this? This is my rock phase. When did I make this one? Image details. Where is that? You would think that it would just list the year, but I'm so dumb I can't even find it. Where is it? Oh, there we go. God, DeviantArt's changed so much. Like, this was 5 years ago, and I couldn't really draw backgrounds back then. So I would always do things like rocks and different designs of that aesthetic where I'm not really focusing too much on backgrounds and all that other kind of stuff. And then I just slowly started getting into sketchbooks and going out and drawing with my friends and really just kind of getting into it. I would do things like animal studies, where I just spend the day and I would just draw polar bears. And I think the key to it all is not take too much on at once. You want to set yourself a small goal, like that, hey, this week I'm going to draw for an hour a day every day, and I'm going to draw polar bears, or I'm going to draw 2 hours every day and just kind of get out. It's the same mentality when it comes to working out. It has to be consistency. And you can give yourself breaks. Yeah, I love that SpongeBob's Gorillas covers. That's one of my favorite dumb ideas that I've ever come up with. I couldn't believe no one's done it before. And I love band geeks because I am a band geek. But yeah, it's all about progress. Before I did this Steampunk Nutcracker, which was just a side project, I wasn't really great at backgrounds. There was a lot of like conceits and like easy things I would do. I didn't really know what my approach would be to do them for. So you look at this stuff, and then you can compare it to the more modern couchlings that I do. You guys can see already off the bat, if you look at the Patreon, how much farther my backgrounds have come. And I always feel that there's always a next level. There's got to be something more that I can do. Because when I graduated college, this was about my level of drawing ability. It really wasn't that high. Now, this is a more Samurai Jack-esque take. But in general, my skill level was, while it was high compared to some of my classmates, it wasn't as high as some of the other people that I knew. All this stuff is from around when I was near the end of college, after working really hard for 5 years, and there was still just so much I needed to learn and so much I needed to get better at. These were some character designs I came up with way back then as like one of my default projects, was based on, Macbeth, and I still like these things and they're still fun, but I've gone a long way since then, and I continue to upgrade and get better all the time. So if you had weird fluke of greatness in old art that you couldn't seem to recreate if you tried to draw it with your current skill levels, I don't think so. Color addiction. I'm always looking forward to the future when it comes to that stuff. I'll see you later, Val. I don't really feel that way. I mean, I think I'm really good at mimicking styles. So I've gotten to the point where if I need to draw in a certain style, I can do it. It's not too hard for me per se. If there's a style that needs to be emulated, I kind of pride myself on the ability to emulate different character designs. So I don't think it would be too much of a problem. Like, in some ways, the Couchlings embody an older style of mine, especially because in some ways I have to maintain what I started with and have to maintain a somewhat consistency between them. But I feel like my skills are always improving when it comes to working in vector or working with line or not working with line. I don't really have too much of a problem with that, so I can emulate a more children's book look if I want to. It's just about kind of just switching up my mindset about how I want to approach, my art. But I don't really have that much of a issue when it comes to emulating. I never would want to go back, is the thing too. My pieces have gotten more diverse and more expansive and more like intricate than ever before. So I don't think there's ever a desire. There's always a next level for me to reach to. I always want my line quality to get even better. But yeah, my line quality has changed a lot. It's stuff that I notice, but that's because I've been able to do more freehanding stuff and less reliant on the pen tool. But I don't think there's a part of me that wants to get back to an old style. There's old characters I'd like to revisit and redraw, like Gob and Yenzin. I drew way back in 2011. I created these characters or something like that, and it wasn't until about a year or 2 years ago that I decided, hey, these would be cool to develop into a property as even just a fun side project, and then I just kind of went from there. If I miss any questions, Bluelit, make sure to tell me I'm being dumb and not seeing them. If I'm missing any questions, know that I'm a teacher who gets on tangents, and I just forget things, and I get on my spins, and then I don't know what's going on. So if I ignore anything, it's not on purpose. I swear it's not on purpose. When it comes to, speaking on that very same thing, when it comes to drawing characters and drawing them consistently, old characters, it comes down to practice. Every artist kind of comes across that, is, I can only draw a character once. But the thing is, character designs evolve and they change. So getting to that final design, a good example is if you look at the beginning of Samurai Jack, a series from 2003, I believe is when it started. Most people know who that is. Even his design changes from the first episode all the way to the last one. Like, character designs evolve. They don't stay the same. They may have model sheets, but the model sheets change and they get better and more diverse. And honestly, any character you draw once is going to be different the next time you draw them. They're not always going to stay the same. So it just comes to repetition. The people on Twitter or Instagram that have their OCs that they draw all the time, the reason why, or manga artists like Oda or Kishimoto who did Naruto, you look at those characters when they first start drawing them, they're very different now. It's subtle, but if you really look, the way that they draw the characters changes over time, because in an artist you get better. Or in Chuck Jones' case, you get way more like curly Q with your lines near the end of your old age. But I love Chuck Jones. For young people, Chuck Jones was a famous animator and director for the old Looney Tunes cartoons in the 1950s and 1960s. He mostly worked on Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck shorts famously known for Wabbit season. He also worked on Tom and Jerry in the late 70s. No, wait, is it 70s or is it 60s? He worked on Tom and Jerry near the end, but he wasn't the creator of it. Oh, dude, thanks, man. I always pride myself on color, Kaiza. Oh, dude, thank you, anonymous. Oh, an anonymous cheer. Thank you for doing that, dude. I strive on bouncing around to different styles. I love cartoons and I love anime, and I kind of love both of them equally. There's not one specific genre that I like more than the other. I can't help myself. It's also why I'm an animator as well. You know, I love animation. I love illustration. You know, I love all that stuff. So there's not any particular thing that I don't like drawing. I used to not like drawing backgrounds in cars, but the more that I've done them, the more that I've gotten used to them, the more that I like them. And I'm at a point now, if anyone says like, hey, you want to go draw this? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go do it. I'm down. Let's get in there. I don't have a preference anymore. It can honestly be anything. It could be in sketchbook. It could be drawing, you know, character designs. It could be honestly anything. I think another big thing is a lot of people need to realize you need to use reference when you're designing stuff. This is part of a challenge in a small sketchbook that I did with a bunch of friends of mine called a 30-minute challenge. So each one of these was done in about, I think it was 30 minutes for about the initial sketch, and I spent another 30 usually coloring them. So doing the inking and design, I didn't really lament these guys too much, but I just kind of went through and did quick, you know, redraws of this type of stuff. But using reference is sometimes, some people think it's cheating, but everyone that's a professional knows that you don't design stuff without using reference. That's cool, dude. We'll catch you later, man. I'm going to get into actually designing the characters in just a second. But yeah, it just comes down to practice. Studying from reference helps a lot, especially when you're trying to draw other stuff. Dude, thanks, Bombardiers. You know, don't ever be afraid to use reference. Always use it when you're drawing stuff. I'm not going to have too much reference for this specific one, but that's because I already designed these characters. I kind of already know what they look like. I went through this whole process of finding reference and making the designs based on that. So there won't be too much of that stuff per se. But yeah, I just like drawing. I'm always thinking that I'm not doing enough. I'm always striving to, you know, draw more. And I think one of the bigger things too is just keeping a sketchbook and keeping it messy and not worrying about too much about being precise. These sketches are kind of old. I should probably update my sketch part of my portfolio, because a lot of this stuff is pretty old at this point. I've gotten a lot better at drawing environments since then. But yeah, my best advice for getting better at drawing is grab a sketchbook, and since everything that's going on, we can't really go out and explore, which makes it a little bit harder. I would say the next best thing is just get on Pinterest, find something to draw, and do that. Heck, I've been playing Final Fantasy XI a little bit, and every now and then I'll just stop and I'll just sketch in my sketchbook some of the environments in a video game, and I'll just go through that and sketch based on that. I think there needs to be a healthy blend of drawing digitally and drawing traditionally. They're both intermingled, and the more that you practice both, the better it's going to get for all that stuff. So yeah, there's no easy way to go about it, and it can kind of feel as if you're never going to get to where you want to. So the best way is just to always keep looking back and seeing how far you've come, and if you put in the effort, you're going to get better. Practice anatomy, practice things that you're not good at. There's so many tutorials now that I didn't even have when I was a kid. Yeah, I love Final Fantasy 14 too. I haven't played 14 in a while. I'm waiting for the next patch, which doesn't come out till, it's like August 15th or something like that. They just dropped a trailer for it. So I'll get back into that when that kind of comes around. But yeah, there's also, you know, my art corner on the Discord. So if you guys do ever have questions, just make sure you tag me. I won't always get back right away, but I will do my best to get back. So if you have a question, and there's already been a lot of questions on there, so feel free to kind of look through that and kind of see what's What's going on? Yeah, I heard about that. They bumped it up, so now you can go all the way up through Heaven's Word, which is awesome. That game is really, really good. I love a lot about that game. But yeah, my art corner is literally for art questions. We also have a really great little art community on the Discord, and if you want to share your stuff, you couldn't ask for a more welcoming community. It's really great. Everyone posts some really cool stuff. Autumn just made a fun fan art not too long ago. You know, all that stuff is super rad. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna kind of get into it. We're just gonna start with a blank canvas, and I'm gonna work through some of this stuff. So I'll start with I'm gonna be basically taking these characters and making character designs for them. So this is Kane the Paladin, Krong the Barbarian. This would be Mike's character in the D&D campaign. This is TenMoreMinutes' character, Azura, and then you have one of our friends' characters, Danielle's character. This weird mustachioed weirdo. I don't know who he is. He thinks he's some kind of overlord, like he runs the game or something. I don't know. I think he's just full of himself. And then we have our bard, Garrett, played by our friend Kevin, and a bunch of different NPCs that this mustachioed overlord decided to make. So this is the first illustration I did of these characters way back in the day, as a birthday gift for our favorite angry man. So, you know, I did this for a couple years in a row. I'd been doing like illustrations for him for his birthday for a while. So busy this year I didn't have another one, but you know, we're gonna be making some designs based on these guys, and it's gonna be kind of similar. It's not gonna be super flashy like the last stream, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and try and transcribe these guys so I have a more not anime, but like more modern fantasy kind of aesthetic, and I'll be basing my stuff around the kind of similar idea. This is a character designer who I really love. His name is Phil Barosa. He does the designs for a lot of the DC projects. He started on, what was that Marvel animated show? He worked on Thor, The Adventures of Thor. It was like a direct-to-DVD movie, and then eventually moved over to Warner Brothers and DC, and ever since then he's done character designs for all kinds of stuff. So he's like one of my big inspirations. I love Phil Barosa's work. He's a stand-up dude, and he's been doing that stuff for a while now. So I always use different reference to kind of figure out what I want to do with the drawing. So I'm gonna move that over to my other side, because who knows, Warner Brothers might be like, you put this up for 5 seconds, you got copyright strikes. Like, okay, fine. I guess I'll start off with Kane. You know, I'll just do something basic. Gonna just sketch out basic anatomy of this design, of what the character is. I might sketch out just like basics of all the characters to kind of get their height. Let's see. Once I design his head, I can do a head chart so I can figure out the different heights for those characters. Oh, hey, Paulette. Do you like your couchling? It was a lot of fun to make. Yeah, Young Justice. Young Justice is an animated series. I don't know where you can find it now. It might be on HBO Go. Dude, you're so welcome. I really enjoyed making it. I did some cool things with that design. What was it? She did the illustration artwork for the New Year's event on Steam. Joy Ong, I believe her name is, and she's on Twitter. She's phenomenal. But she did a piece with that kind of whirly, wavy Japanese woodblock style. I was like, oh man, that's so awesome. So I decided I want to implement something like that done. Yeah, Paul's couchling is done. So whenever I finish a couchling, I first send it to obviously the person that it's getting made for, and then I go ahead and I send it over to Chris, and Chris will then usually post on the Discord, but I can pull it up for you guys. Let's see. I just finished both his and the other latest couchling, which would be, I'm gonna mispronounce his name, so I'm not gonna say it. But this was Paul's couchling. I went ahead and made this, what was it, I spent most of yesterday working on it. It turned out pretty good. It was a lot of fun. Paulette gave me some really fun designs to work with. You should be able to find it on the Discord too. I'm sure Chris has posted by now. I sent him all this stuff. Was that a Twitch implement thing? Well, I'm not Chris, but what did Chris do? Haven't seen the newest season of Young Justice. Yeah, it was worth it. The latest season of Young Justice season 3 was really good. I think it's worth it even if you just pay for the $7 for the first month and just kind of go through it. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. But when it comes to just, you know, I don't know too much of what I'm going to do with this design, but I'm just laying out the foundations for my kind of 3/4 position for the character design. Not worrying too much about all the specifics, just getting the basics of anatomy down of what I want to do. This is typically how I approach it. Kane's kind of a medium build character. He's not too buff, he's not too weak. He's definitely not your kind of macho save the world type of paladin. He's a bit more gruff than that, a bit more world weary than some of his fellow adventurers. And I'm just going to kind of do just kind of a quick lineup for these guys. And let's see, next, let's find, where is that? Here we go, illustrations. And next we're going to draw, as always, Mike has the easiest and most fun characters to draw. I'm going to draw Krong, who is basically, he's basically the Incredible Hulk. I mean, in terms of his proportions. I don't like my orcs ugly. I like my orcs to be handsome boys, as one of my friends would weirdly put it. But yeah, I'd say Kane's like around 6 feet, 6'1", 6'2", kind of around my height. I'd say Krong is, I can't remember how tall Mike made his character, but I always draw Krong as just even taller than Kane by a decent amount. Probably like about a head taller. Bit more sturdier legs. I'm trying to be more reserved with this one because it's supposed to be more anime-esque, so things will have to be changed. When you're doing character designs, at least the way I approach it is, you know, start off really simple. I can always add more personality and character, but for right now I want to get my proportions right for my whole cast, and then I can kind of change more. Like this art stream will probably end and it'll just be rough sketches. We're not going to get super far into this. It's mostly just me starting it, and I didn't have any other projects to work on at the moment. So yeah, figured this is my next assignment that I'm going to be kind of working on and spending the next few days trying to get done. So yeah. Oh, it's on auto select. That should be turned off. Okie dokie, Krong, let's get your legs in there. You're gonna have more thick, powerful legs, big old feet. Still wears pants though. I've never really liked the barbarians with the loincloth deal. I've always thought that was kind of, you know, risque. So I've never been a huge fan of the loincloth. I like adding loincloths to character designs, but they also have to be wearing pants. It's gonna have more, he needs to be a bit more broad-shouldered. It's like those character designs you see of LeBron James, who's just got massive shoulders. Thicker neck, thicker head. And if you guys, like I said, if you guys have any specific questions, feel free to ask them. I will be keeping my eye on chat the best I can. Most of these guys are just going to only have one position. I think, like, you know, when it comes to the final designs, Krong will maybe have 2 positions, but the main characters, I'm going to focus on one male character and one female character as my two main designs. For right now, I'm really just trying to figure out the heads and try and figure out, you know, what my height thing is. There's a thing called how many heads tall is a character. It's a trick in animation for us to know. Most characters that are like superheroes and stuff are about 8 to 7.5 heads tall. So this can often be used as like a nice barometer to kind of see how tall designs are, how tall they should be. So I got Krong around there. Let's do, that'll be the base for the feet. Yeah, kind of around there. I'm gonna make him a bit wider. Krong's a big dude. Krong's just like a thick, giant man. Kane's a bit more buff than that, but that kind of nicely serves as it's a nice starter point. I don't have a for sure method when it comes to character designs. I'm trying to remember what I did when I made the other one, but when I did the lineups for the hijinks one, I just started off with Gob and Yinzen, and I made them, and then I just drew all the characters afterwards. Hey, just Scarecrow. Alright, I've got these two boys. Let's go ahead and we're gonna add Jen's character. So we'll do a sketch for TenMoreMinutes. His character Azura. Feisty character. Often leaping before looking, but heart's always in the right place. My character's 6 feet. Jen's character, if I remember right, the way at least I've always pictured is her character's not as tall. I would say she and her sister, her twin sister, probably about 5 feet, like 6, 5, 7, something kind of around there. That's always been my interpretation of her design. But when I'm starting off with, I just keep my anatomy basic. Start with a circle for the rib cage. Maybe parallel my hips. And just, it's honestly just starts off with like a stick figure. I'm not worrying too much about like actual posing or something. The main thing that I'm just looking for is making sure that the hands are about where the hips midway on the thighs, which is usually where the fingers end up for that kind of stuff. Not too far, and this is all just laying out anatomy, so I'm not worrying about it too specifically. Azura's tough. She's definitely more muscular, but she's just a half elf, so you know, her design, she's not going to be as strong as Krong, though she can swing a mean club, and her attacks are nothing to trifle with. Azura can definitely hold her own on the battlefield as a cleric, so she's got tough stuff where she needs it. She's definitely one of those stronger characters. But especially for this lineup, it's just really figuring out basics of proportion. And I've drawn these characters a bunch, but I've never had to actually break down their heights. If we look at the illustrations I've made of these characters, for the most part, you know, they're all kind of sitting down, so height doesn't really matter too much for this one. In this one here, they're kind of all over the place. You know, Krong's way in the background, Kelly is shooting an arrow, Garrett's down there. I know he's short, but in general, there's not too much when it comes to worrying about their actual heights of the character. So I haven't really had to specifically break them down, which sometimes can make things easier, because then you don't have to worry too much about that stuff. What happened to them? What characters? The characters that I'm drawing? I mean, they're still around. You know, they're part of Chris's campaign, so they're still alive and kicking. I'm just currently working on just the basics of this kind of setup for the character designs. I'm gonna go ahead and extend the length of this. I'm gonna go ahead and make it like huge. That way I can kind of fit more characters on here. Extend that. And let's go ahead and extend this. That way I can kind of keep on maintaining that. Well, for the most part, I can kind of just keep Azura's proportions exactly similar, honestly, because her sisters are twin. So it doesn't really matter too much. I'll go ahead and make her purple, though. Just so I have a difference. And maybe I'll make her proportions slightly different because she's a bit more of an academic, so she would be less inclined to battle, but this would be Nimue. So this is admittedly weird, but I often wonder, like, fantasy combinations are viable. Like, I wouldn't think of them half Bakote, half human. Yeah, Final Fantasy XI did something fun with that as well. They had a half Elezen, half human character, or Cure character. I kind of get the terminology mixed up. I grew up playing Final Fantasy XI, and then I switched to 14 after I quit 11 like 10 years ago. And now I'm back playing that again. You know, pandemics do a weird thing like that. Half races are fun. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna bulk up Azura a little bit. Make sure I give her a little bit more of a muscular tone, because that would make sense for her character. So Azura is a sea captain, you know, so she is definitely gonna have, you know, some muscular forearms. She's no weakling, that's for sure. She's definitely not, you know, she's not like ripped like the She-Hulk, but, you know, she ain't no scrub either. She can definitely hold her own. So I'm gonna give her give her broader shoulders. If you're pulling up lines and piling an old giant boat ship, you're gonna have some muscle to back that up when you swing that club. Whereas her sister, you know, she reads books, she's a wizard. Physical fitness is probably not in her daily routine. So I'm going to assume that she's going to be a bit more, you know, she's not going to be lifting 40-pound weights. Azura, I don't know. Azura might do that in her free time. Who knows? Give Azura sturdy legs. She'd need them on the seas. She's definitely not going to be falling over. Well, not all the time. At least not of her own volition. But when you're doing a character design, you're always thinking about the character. You're always thinking about all the little intricacies of what makes them who they are. It's not simply just drawing a cool character, and especially when it comes to character design, in a lot of ways it's more technical than it is freeing, which I find fun. But character designs in general are problem solving. You're creating a sheet that's going to be sent overseas, or sent across the country to other people that aren't you, that don't have immediate access to you when it comes to designs, and they're going to use that as all their reference for when they're drawing stuff. So they need to know all the different angles for said characters. They need to know what they look like standing from the left, standing to the right, what they look like from behind. The more information that they have, the better. The more complex the character design, the more information they have, the more likely it will not be off model and will stay where it needs to, and that way nothing will look weird. Now this isn't, you know, this is different from in-betweens or stuff of that nature. I mean more like, oh, they're missing a sash, or they're, you know, the emblem on their back isn't drawn correctly. Well, that's probably because they didn't give the right designs, and then they had to kind of make it up as they went, type of deal. So there's not much I can do with these two just because they're around the same height, but their clothes will help kind of change a lot of their stuff. I'll look at some of my reference in terms of how their hairstyle. Azura's got a nice short kind of like, I don't want to say a crew cut because it's not a crew cut. She's got a short kind of wafty style for her hair, very much like Korra from The Legend of Korra. This would be the most recent one. So let's zoom in and check out Azura's look. More fiery red hair. This is like a story change that happened. Um, yeah, very kind of like, you know, defined muscles, got some scars. She mixes it up with the best. So let's go ahead and get her hairstyle in. I'm going to move this over because I can't draw on top of it. So let's go ahead and switch to a red brush just to get some stuff going. It's definitely a more anime look, and a lot of this stuff will change. When you're doing character designs and you're kind of tying this stuff down, you kind of have to start getting more precise with that stuff because it has to look good from all angles. So one of the fun things about character design, in my opinion, is honestly it's the problem solving. It's getting something, seeing if it'll turn around, and then making changes when it doesn't work the way you intended it to. I find that to actually be kind of rewarding because when you finally do get it down and it does all spin, ooh, it is a thing of beauty. And it also, like Color Addiction was saying, it's also nice for cosplayers when they have a model sheet because that way they can kind of make it as exact as possible. Now, Nimale's got more laid back hair design when I came up with her character. So when I was designing these, the campaign started, how long ago was it? 2017? 2016? It was around the time when we were first starting the channel, 10 More Minutes. But I got all their input from them and asked them, hey, well, give me some references and give me some images of what your characters would look like. How do you feel about your character? What's your idea of them? And then I just kind of went ahead and drew up the designs, and it's kind of been a trend for the last couple of years for me to do an illustration each year. I didn't do one this year. I'll probably get around to it eventually. But I've just been so busy with other stuff that I haven't had the time. But these characters are a lot of fun to draw. They're just, I was never really into this kind of fantasy stuff, so these things have been fun to kind of give them my anime take. Krong is probably my favorite character to draw. He's just, I don't know what it is. Every time I do stuff for 10 More Minutes or the channel, Mike's stuff always turns out the best. I don't know what it is. I really don't. But his designs always are my favorite. They always turn out the most fun. Like, I love the idea I came up with him for Hollow Knight, and he's not even in the series. What a jerk. I love that guy, though. He's the best. It's always fun. We're going to try and, like I said, we're going to try and do a 3-player game soon. We're going to try and make that happen. Whether it'll happen or not, we'll let you know soon. But that should be within the next couple weeks, ideally, that we kind of cover that. Now, I'm going to start giving him some of his stuff. So when I'm doing character designs, I probably should just start with one character, but I really want to get the cast down so I can at least get the sizes right. What I'm doing right now is I consider the rough phase. So I'm really just kind of figuring out the basics. Like I said, just figuring out proportions and seeing what I can tie down, but not being married to honestly any of this. The final poses, they'll probably be more along what Barosa does with his stuff, which maybe a hand on the hip or a hand to the side. But the idea for the aesthetic is definitely a more anime take and a kind of more modern action cartoony style. So simplifying anatomy so that way it's easy for an animator, and having that kind of action vibe. I grew up watching shows like Justice League, Samurai Jack, and a lot of different animes, Dragon Ball Z. So those are some of my bigger influences. Okay, so time to get the shorty of our crew into the mix. This would be Garrett. He is the bard of our crew. We're gonna go ahead and start wrapping him into it. He's tiny. He's as tiny as they come. He's like Mike. I hate him because he always turns out the best out of all the characters. Maybe it's because he's not my character, but every time I draw Garrett, it always turns out fun. He always has something fun to do in these illustrations that, you know, I don't know. There's something about that goofball that's always fun. Chilling out in the background. All right, let's draw this nerd. Let's get him in there. So he is definitely not tall. I think his character height is somewhere around 3 feet or something. He's a halfling. I'm gonna put him right around here. Put him right around kind of this height. Still kind of normal body proportions. Not too crazy. Oh, I got chat blocked. Let me check it. Are you gonna animate your D&D campaign? That'd be so much work. Fudge. Hold on. There is something I have been working on. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? This is all preliminary stuff. Mother of pearl. This will be another storyboard that I've been working on. Let me see. Hijinks, James. Chris hasn't even seen this. Where the heck is it? Oh, is it just a Photoshop file? It's just a Photoshop file. I thought it was in a folder. Behind the scenes, yeah. So let me go ahead and go Window, Timeline. So I started storyboarding, and this is the rough form. So for instance, and you guys can find links to all my stuff on the Discord. This will get cleaned up more so than anything. It'll get to around this level, which is like my portfolio for storyboards. It's gonna get to a more cleaned up level. Like I made a storyboard based on the characters from Hijinks, and I'll eventually make an animatic of this, so it's more presentable. And I'll share that on the Discord when that's done. But I am working on a storyboard sequence for those characters from our campaign based on an event that happened way back in the day. I don't know if this will play well, but start out, opening scene, some goofy birds fly by, chirp chirp, and we're seeing just a boat off in the distance. Don't really know what's going on. Give me a nice little pan in shot. Cut to the next frame. We've got two figures, one pointing a sword at a person wielding a giant axe with two standers by, just chilling out on the side as the ocean waves roar past. Cut to this. So the blue figure is Kane and the green figure is Krong. So this is like behind the scenes. This is like super rough. Kane is pointing his sword at Krong, kind of pulling it back, acting like a little smirky, like haha. And we've got our favorite little halfling and TenMoreMinutes betting on the fight to see who's gonna win. We've got Garrett putting 2 on the angry paladin known as Kane. Azura's all in on Krong though. She's gonna bet 3 gold pieces on this bad boy for who can win the fight. Shake on it. All this stuff is gonna be refined. It's super super rough. You got Krong just like shaking his shoulder, like rubbing it out. He's like, all right, cool, let's go. Rotates his cuff, and then we have the fight start. Slams his fist together, get a big old grin. Kane kind of swirls his, like pulls his sword back, gets ready into his stance. Krong pulls back his sword, swings it back up, and this is going to be something to show like I can do like fight choreography. Got the waves crashing past. There's going to be way more to this in terms of refinement. Krong goes up, goes for an attack, parry, sends him flying back. They both fly back into the distance. You'll have some birds kind of fly by and some ocean waves just crack in the background. Then we keep playing, do quick cuts between them. They like both get excited and then just shoot back at each other. And I haven't done a ton of work on this. It's all super rough. That needs more like refinement, and this is like as rough as it gets. This is the beginning phase of a animatic, where I'm just trying to figure stuff out. Hit him right in the gut. Then Krong comes up, grabs him by the collar, pulls him over and slams him into the ground. He goes flying, bam, right into the pole. Before he knows it, Krong is sliding up and about to slash into him, ducks, parries around the corner, and slashes at Krong, but he's too fast. He parries it.
and then you have like a little kind of like anime camera turnaround where they attack, and that's all I've gotten so far. So there's still a lot of work that comes with that. I would love to finish out this sequence when it's all done. This is one of my next projects too, so I'm working on that. I'm gonna be doing a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, the oh fuck expression. I had a lot of fun working on this. It's still got about how many boards is this already? They end up about, I still have probably 100 more boards I gotta draw for it for the fight. But yeah, it'll all get polished up, it'll get cleaned up. I got sidetracked because there's a lot of channel stuff to do, and I was finishing a lot of stuff for hijinks, but I think hijinks is pretty much done. The only thing that I need to do is take this and go ahead and like put this into a video format. Once it's in a video format, that'll probably be it for this project for a while, and then I'll finish the D&D one, and then once the D&D one is done, I'll kind of move on and then work on something else. I'd love to do an animated short based on my D&D character. Maybe later in the year I'll start on that. That's part of the idea for working on the character designs and turnarounds, because then it's going to provide me with like good model sheets for Kane, so I can kind of use that as a starting point for this kind of stuff. I want to know who would win. Well, you'll just have to wait and find out until I actually finish the story. But yeah, I'll probably have it done within like the next month. I'm gonna spend August kind of finishing that stuff up. I've been working pretty hard over the last couple months to get my portfolio to where I think it's more acceptable. And yeah, I'm always working on something, guys. Always. If you have anyone who would voice Gav and who would voice Jensen, I don't know. I honestly haven't thought that far. Who would voice these characters? I don't know. Maybe we get Gilbert Gottfried. Why not? He might be too annoying though. So I haven't thought about it that far. I mean, I've thought about it a lot. I've written a lot of backstory for these characters, but I haven't thought about who would voice them yet. Not particularly. I wonder what the guy who did Chowder's doing. Maybe get Mung Dahl to do somebody. That'd be fun. But yeah, I've been working hard on this stuff, and if you guys want to check out more, eventually I'll have the animatics for this, and when I finish them I'll post them up, which that might not take too long. I might have those done by, at least one of them done by the end of the week. Not this week, next week. This week I'm tired. I'm fucking zonked out. But I wanted to get this started, and I do want to make art streams a more standard thing. I don't know if they'll always be continuations. Like I said in the last stream forever ago, I still want to do those children book illustration ideas. I think those would be fun. This is definitely the next project I'm planning on working on, but at the same time, yeah, I don't know. This week has been like a whirlwind. I have another thing I got to do for a client outside of the channel, for a potential gig as well, so I'm working on that. I got to do some different stuff, but I can't show it because it's NDA, so not allowed to. Ooh, thank you, Hot Red Hot. Super appreciate that, and I love snowmen, so that that makes it even doubly awesome. Yeah, it's been a long week. There's been a lot of channel stuff, a lot of art stuff, and I also just did a workout today. It's the end of the week too, so 5 days of working out. I run about like 8 miles a week, and then I just finished a workout today. So yeah, I'm pretty zonked for today, but I'll be back in the swing of things by tomorrow for sure. Again, now Garrett's got some kind of wafty hair. I think he spikes it just so he can be perceived as taller. One thing I have been watching though lately, this is a tangent as I always do, I'm watching a lot of Haikyuu lately. The anime. I never really liked volleyball. I started to really like volleyball. How's my back? My back's doing better. It's a little sore right now, but that's because I was working out. Once I started actually committing myself to working out again and doing planks and getting back into it, it's felt better. For about a week there, though, it was not super chill. It was not good. Not too bad, but enough to be annoying. Now, that's not 100% what Garrett looks like, but that's good enough right now. In terms of that, at least gives me his height. This gives me the base for what he is. Kind of break that down. Now, this is the main cast. We also have Kelia, though, so I should probably get our fighter in here as well. Let's go ahead and cut that. And pull you over. And let's combine a couple of these, because this is just going to be underlying sketches anyways, so I don't really need them to be too precise anymore. Thanks. You loathe volleyball? You might like Haikyuu, though. Haikyuu's pretty good. I'm loving what Production IG is doing with that animation. It's so much fun. I also got finished watching Vinland. Vinland's cool. Vinland's a neat series. I really dug that for sure. Let's see. And then we have our fighter, which is Kelia. And there are our bow-wielding, princess-searching destroyer of worlds. I don't know what title to give them. Our thespian of the group. Our word soother. I don't know. They handle all the regal shit. But they're a fun design. They're pretty recent too. I guess it's been about a year since they started the campaign. But the basic for this project is, I think I'll design some of the enemies too, like some of the Umberlents. But they won't have... Umberlents are like the evil cult of that world, but I don't think I will do... I'm not going to do massive turnarounds. So the two characters I'm going to do turnarounds for is I'm going to do one for Kane, which is going to have all the different positions, 360... I did not write. They're like 360 degrees, and then I'm going to do it for Azura as well. But most of these characters, like Krong, is going to have 2 to 3 poses. Same thing for all these guys. They'll have like 2 to 3. Whoa, thanks for joining the couch, Mitch. Mitch Ninja 88. 88's a good year. Yeah, there'll be like 2 to 3 poses for them. So for instance, you'll have your regular 3/4 look of them just standing there, and then you'll have like one from the side where they're looking, and then you'll have one of their back view. Now some character designs can get very like crazy. Like for instance, Finn from Adventure Time, his character model sheet has, God, it's like an 11-point turn or something of that nature. Most of the times you don't need to get through that, but for the basics, you'll have your front design, your 3/4 design, side, 3/4 back, and back view. And I'll do those for Kane and Azura, the 2 typical human characters, human-ish. So it'll be a good baseline. And then the rest of this cast will have just 2 to 3. So it's still a lot of work. But I think for the most part, most of them won't need too much. I might only do... Nah, I'll do 2 to 3. I won't do 3/4 for these characters. Maybe I'll do it for Feds, but I'll have most of that done. I'm not trying to do too much when it comes to that. So yeah, maybe I'll probably do expression sheets for Kane and Azura as well when all is said and done. But let's go ahead, and I'm gonna make the canvas even longer so I can kind of fit all of them on here. And like I said, Azura and her sister are twins, so luckily in terms of height, there's not much I have to worry about. They're exactly the same height, so yeah, I'm just going to make one more muscular and the other a bit more limber. And go ahead and extend that. And Kelia is also a half-elf. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this, and I'm just going to make some changes to her design. to make her fit, because Kelly is kind of the same way. She's like in between. I'd say she's in between Azura and Nimale when it comes to how muscular they are. They're more of an archer, so they're not brute strength. They're more finesse, but still definitely a bit stronger. I think Kelly is a full elf, so I'm gonna go ahead and make her just a little bit taller, a little bit wider, a little bit taller than the others. Not too much, but just enough. That's about what I picture when it comes to the height comparisons of this cast of characters. Kelly has got a little bun for hair. Our friend was very specific on what she wanted for their design, which is really helpful when people provide good reference. For instance, whenever the couchlings you guys give me good design, like good references, it helps immensely. It helps so much when you guys provide me with like references for what characters you want in terms of designs. I'd rather have a bunch of stuff at the beginning so that way I don't screw it up. It always helps out. Give her some foofy hair. She's definitely got long hair. Hair past her butt. Don't know how she maintains it. Kind of get that down. And let's go back to our dumb paladin friend. My dumb character. Let's get down to him. Kane's your typical human. Not too crazy. Basic proportions. Decently strong. But, you know, he's not the Incredible Hulk. And he's not Captain America. He's like a slightly more bulky Spider-Man, I guess is the best way to put it. Wears heavyish armor, but not as much as like a WoW paladin. He's more of a leather and light armor type. So I'm going to give him just kind of a basic proportion strength to him. Just working out the basics of the anatomy. I'm going to try and move my screen because I see that there's stuff being typed. I'm really liking it, literally, Toturi. It's becoming really good. I'm going to start watching a couple more sports animes because despite being a lifelong anime fan, I've never really watched them. I'm going to watch Slam Dunk, and I'm also going to watch, God, what's the other one? There's another basketball anime, Kuroko no Basket, I think? Yeah. I think that's the thing that my buddy told me to go watch. Because I heard good things about that, and I love basketball. Unlike Chris, I like some sports. I know it's weird. We're different people. We like different things. I don't know why. But these are all 3/4 positions. So I'm really just trying to get the basics of their designs. It's all about their anatomy. I was surprised that Haikyuu is 70-something episodes, so that's going to be a trip. Vinland was only 25, and that was a disappointment just because I wanted more Vinland. Vinland was so good, and I was denied. It's only got 1 season. So eventually, hopefully, that gets more. Give Kane his little beard and mustache because he's got his Obi-Wan references, but still kind of slick back, spiky hair. Because once again, I'm an anime dude at heart, and one of my favorite things growing up drawing were Sword and Shield characters. I drew Link all the time. Ocarina of Time was my jam. I was always drawing the characters in that, and I love Majora's Mask. I love the just dark ink line art that they did. It's very similar to Hellboy. I've always loved that style. It's so much fun. There's always something just so appealing about that. But in terms of where we'll get on this, I honestly don't know. We'll go for a little bit longer, for sure, and there'll be more art streams. I might do another one Monday or something. Sunday obviously is something else. I might be on that stream. I honestly just don't know. I've got to finish some art, like I said, so I might not be on that one. Sorry about that. I know I'm typically on Sundays, but I've just been swamped with stuff. So in between recordings and stuff, I just haven't had the time. There's always some new thing that comes up. It should get a little bit easier though. Most of the channel stuff is taken care of. Maya's getting stuff ready for October. And you're probably thinking, getting stuff ready for October? It's like, yeah. October is, let's see, August, September. It's 2 months away, basically. So there's stuff I gotta get ready for October. Alright, we have the heights of our main characters. They're all pretty goodly proportioned. I feel like Kane needs to be a little bit wider. He's a little too thin. He still should be broad-chested. He's still a paladin after all. He's muscular. Maybe I've got him too short. He's supposed to not be that much. I think Krong's only supposed to be like 6'3", but he's like the Hulk. I want Krong to look intimidating. But I think I want Kane to be a little bit taller. Krong and Kane are definitely the muscle of the Siren Song Sentinels. Though Kelia and Azura definitely hold their weight. Drawing halflings is weird though. They're much different proportion size than all that other stuff. Yeah, Spooktober is close. And I don't want Spooktober to be like it was last year. Last year's Spooktober was fun, but oh god, it got really close to the deadline that time. So I'm gonna probably spend most of August working on the stuff for Spooktober and getting that done and out of the way. Luckily, some of the other stuff is taken care of, like the Halloween intro and all that stuff, so we're good on that. And I finished all the expressions, so it'll just be one minor iota that I will need to animate and take care of. But it's always fun. It's a fun exercise. It's a fun challenge, and I've learned a lot from previous years. So let's start. I'm just gonna start getting in some of the different design elements then of these characters. I'm not gonna worry about their brain work. I'm not gonna worry about their weapons. I am literally just gonna be like getting in the basic shapes of what is going on. Krong is a barbarian, so when I designed him, I love polydrons, and I love giant skull polydrons. I think it's the coolest shit ever. I love them. Yeah. I'm bummed there won't be Halloween parties. Well, yeah, I'm bummed. I'm bummed because it's usually a good reason to see a bunch of my buddies. But I'm with Red Hot. I don't even go get my own groceries anymore. I literally just, I go to our local grocer's website and I literally just order it from there because God, it's so nice. I mean, yeah, they didn't have 3 items that I put on there, but they didn't charge me for it, so that kind of sucks. But the fact that I don't have to drive to go to the grocery store, oh, it's the best. It's so good. It's so good. I love the fact that I don't have to leave and go there, because I would be going at 6 in the morning, and now I can just wake up for about 20 minutes, clean off my food, detox it, and then stick it in the fridge, and I'm like, great. The idea of going to a store, no thank you. No thank you. Krong's got little fur sighties or like cloth hanging there. And unlike most barbarians, Krong is fucking classy. He wears pants. Everyone was like, oh, he's a barbarian, he can't wear pants. Screw you guys. He's got pants. He's a barbarian who, well, he wears shorts. I don't like the loincloth. I don't want my friend's junk to just be flying in the wind. He's got little bandages for his feet. Little wraps, kind of like an athlete. Same with his arms. And just getting some basic stuff. A lot of proportions will have to change with this. But this is all just like basic stuff. There's so much more that has to be done, but this is literally just the starting point. And in some ways, like I said, I should probably only be starting with one character, but I want to get good rough sketches of all their proportions and all the characters first, and then tackle the cast. And I may have to do some exploratory sketches, like drawing them in action and testing it out, to figure out what I think works and what I think doesn't work, you know. But yeah, this is character design is trial and error. You know, you just have to kind of keep on working at it and just keep on going, and eventually you'll get where you need to. I have this is just the starting point too. This is there's so much to do when it comes to this stuff. But that's half the fun with it. It's just breaking into it. I always feel like I'm not doing enough, honestly. I always feel like I'm not learning enough or not drawing enough, and most people will call me an insane person. Probably my roommates. They're like, that's all you do. I'm like, yeah, but it's not enough. Think if I just didn't need to use the restroom ever in my life. Think how much more time I could get for drawing. It'd be great. But we have to live with the realities of the world, I guess. This isn't like South Park. Can't treat it like that WoW episode. Alright, let's go again. Azura's got like swirly paladrons. And she's got little popped collar. Azura's character design has probably changed the most out of all of them. She likes to update her character. And her design probably is the one that's changed the most out of all of them. She's the most particular, and that's because Jen likes to draw too, as you guys have seen on Discord. I've known Jen since 2nd grade, elementary school. She's always liked art too. So yeah, we've known each other for, God, freaking forever. It's weird. Never thought we'd end up being roommates, but there we are. I blame Chris. It's all his fault. How dare he marry her? What a good, awesome person. Get her little sash in there. I guess her sash should be on this side. And I like my poofy pants, but I think I'm going to give Azura... She's a sailor, so I'm going to give her more straight-laced pants in this design take. And she probably has boots. I'll have to look at her most recent design that she posted on the Discord and kind of update it that way. It's got nice kind of gloves. Thick old design. Azura's a fun character though. She's hard to draw sometimes, but she's got a lot of spunk, and that's 99% Jen. Gotta become a drawing robot, input food and output drawings. That's pretty much what I am, my friend. That's pretty much what I am. I'm gonna have to go back to Nimele's first design. Nimele's fun. She's kind of like your most basic of basic wizardy type characters. I better save this. I've been doing all this drawing and I haven't saved. That's a dumb mistake. So let's give her... Just gonna have a cloak and kind of get that little cape. Get Get that little cape in there. I gave her kind of gauntlets, just like leather-bound gauntlets, so she can kind of survive some of the tough terrains of the world. Very powerful caster. Let's see, and I gave her one of her arms. She doesn't. She only has one band. On there, little poofy shoulders. Love drawing like little poofy armor. Capes are fun. They're not good for superheroes, but they are fun. Gave her a little bit of a V shape for her neck. Line doesn't show anything, but it's just kind of like an armor design. She's got leather-bound armor. She's got some straps on her to carry her spell book. I made her like a Tetsuya Nomura character. She likes belts. She likes belts a lot. Gave her a little cross-shaped belt that holds little pouches and vials and little things she can kind of pull out of her character. And gave her like these little floopy extra pieces of armor that kind of sit there. And like I said, a lot of this stuff is going to have to change. I'm also a big proponent of, I don't like drawing like sexualized armor a lot, like a lot of fantasy character designers do. I don't know, I like my warriors and my warlocks and my mages to be clothed. It's weird. It's like if you expose your body parts, you're gonna get stabbed right in the chest, like that guy from Final Fantasy 12. Who thought that armor design was good? What are you doing? If anyone doesn't know, spoiler for the first minute of Final Fantasy 12. Don't wear an armor piece that has like a giant weak spot right by your neck. Probably not a good idea, because if you get shot with an arrow, probably gonna die. I don't remember what the plot armor is too powerful. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe that plot armor is just too strong. If anyone's played Final Fantasy 14, the thing that's probably bothered me the most when I first started was the female Dragoon armor for the first artifact set. The male artifact set looks rad as hell. And then the female set has this giant opening for their torso, so they get a shot of just their open stomach. It's like, so cool. While the Dragoon's fighting, any random enemy was just going to take their spear and they're just going to charge and pierce them right in the gut. Then you have a giant gaping hole in the armor where all their like vital organs are at. That's a great idea. That's a good design decision. And they kind of stopped after that. They're like, oh yeah, let's not do that. But then again, they make up for it though. Like, I'm all for the fantasy armor where it's like, it's like, you know, scantily clad, have that in there. But if it's a Dragoon armor, you're telling me they just took out a piece of the armor for the females and just like, nah, they'll be fine. They'll be good. Their stomachs don't need protection. They don't have their intestines and their vital organs and their liver all there. Don't worry about it. They'll be fine. That makes perfect sense. Alright. I do love Garrick's character design. He's probably one of my favorite characters I've drawn for the group. He's up there with Krong. He's got like a little wispy half cape going on. Gotta have steel abs. Just gotta flex and just bounce off. Thanks, Mitch. It's taken years to get to that style, but I really like it too. I like where it's finally kind of, I want to say settled at. It's definitely settled into a place, and I'm very happy with where it's come. I want it to get better with, like, you know, learning painting techniques and other set stuff, but for the majority, yeah, I'm pretty happy with where it's gotten to over the years. Work on that little gauntlet. Yeah. I mean, I can try and do another art stream on Monday, and we can pick up doing more of this stuff. I don't think we got to record on Monday, but we'll see. There'll be another one sooner rather than later. It's not gonna be like last time, like in April. I'll like do more of this stuff while I'm working on portfolio stuff. So we'll make that. I'll try and make that a more common thing. At least 2 art streams a month. At least. That fixes the problem for Garrett. Now I gotta do Kelia. Let's see. Kelia is our archer. I like drawing pop collars. It's like every one of my characters is someone from the 80s for some reason. Give her a little pop collar. Then I gave her some kind of cloth that goes over it because it's not really a cape, it's like a half cape. Give her an armored collar. And she's a fighter, so she wears thicker stuff than like Hasker there. And obviously belts. Gotta give side belt pouches. That's what it's all about. And sashes. I love me some sashes. Kind of filter that in. And give a little bit of a long draping because Kelly is a bit more of a regal character than most of them. She comes from high society. So she's definitely a bit more fancy with her clothing. She's very meticulous and very specific about how her stuff looks. So I ended up, I think, gave her high heels too. Which, not probably the smart. Did I give her heels? No, because that wouldn't make sense battle-wise. I think I just gave her really nice shoes. I can't see half the stuff on this design. I think I gave her little heels, like Batman Beyond heels. But they're not stilettos, but they're short. They're like short little indents. And she's got some gauntlets. Kind of fix those out. And that's kind of like the starting point. This is kind of the basics for where I'll start with a character design or a lineup. Still got to do a lot of passes to kind of get them. But the first thing that I like to do when it comes to a character design set is I always like working out the 3/4 first. I feel it's the easiest one to start off with. You can either do that or you can start with a front view, but either or is kind of like my go-to method. I always draw 3 characters 3/4 position. I don't know why. I like the 3/4 angle. It's my favorite. It feels the least amount. It feels the least flat. So I've always liked drawing from that angle. And kind of add some depth and dimension to those characters. So yeah, I'll be illustrating these guys over the course of it, over these probably next handful of streams, doing rougher sketches. It might bounce around a bit more compared to previous art streams where it was start an illustration, go start to finish. So it might be, it's going to be a little bit bouncier than also. Oh wow, thank you for the cheer. Thank you so much, dude. So it might be a little bit more bouncy than that stuff, just because I don't want to be as stringent and stuck to that format, I guess. But when it comes to when we do like an illustration, say I do start some of those children book ones, those ones will fall in succession, but those ones will only be 2 sessions, bare minimum anyways. Yeah. And then after, once I finish those guys, I'll probably start doing some of the, do like 1 or 2 of the bad guys. There's like a giant shark man called like Iakovus, who we fought a bunch. So I'll probably draw him a couple times. I'll probably draw him as one of the designs. And this is obviously not going to be his proportions, but think street sharks. That's how I picture him. A shark man, yeah. Chop one of our characters in half. Wasn't fun. I'll probably draw him and the lead bad guy. I forget her name. She's another half elf. Her name is Lunara. Probably draw Lunara and what's one of her henchmen's, like Aaliyah, who was like a tough barbarian, big old strong woman, giant woman. Probably draw her, Aaliyah, and then I'll probably just draw like a rope figure that's like gonna be an occultist. That'll be an Umberland. And that'll probably wrap up. These guys will just be single positions. I probably won't do like full-on turns for them. I'll probably not even do full-on turns for everybody in here. That's not true. I'll probably do 2 to 3 to all of them. I'm fucking meticulous when it comes to that shit. Make Krong. And typically when I'm doing character designs, I'll leave myself notes. Like, where is it? I like to leave myself notes like, hey, Krong, wider, stronger, taller, wider, just so I remember next time when I open up this file. I like where they're at. Good, but refine, fix anatomy. Not going to worry about spelling. Fine. Yeah. Let's see. Kane is what? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, yeah. So Kane, I should reverse that actually. So like I was saying earlier, in terms of character design, in terms of how people view this stuff, they view characters in head height. So like I said, superheroes and stuff tend to be about 7 to 7.5 heads tall, or sometimes 8. Normal characters are usually around 6. So maybe they need to be a little shorter, they need to be a little taller. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming out to this stream. There will be more in the future, but I'm zonked out. It's been a super long week, but I'm so appreciative to everybody that showed up. This has been super awesome. Like I said, if you guys have questions about art, feel free to hit the Discord, and there's a channel called Sam's Art Corner. Feel free to ping me every now and then. Don't abuse it, but feel free to ping me if you have questions about art. I'll be happy to answer them. I won't always get back right away, but I will be sure to get to them as long as I see them. Take care, everybody. Please wash your hands, wear masks, be socially responsible. Hopefully I know how to end this stream. I'm going to mess around and try and get the music to actually work. Love you guys. Take it easy. And I still haven't got the credits working, so I'm just going to go to stream offline. Take care, everybody. Peace.